You are listening to the Manument Podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm here with my buddy Glenn Johnson, investment advisor and founder of Jabez Financial right here in the Uncasville area. As you're listening today, if you want to start the conversation about your financial future, we are here for you. Glenn is offering his complimentary retirement projection to our first 5 callers today. You can give us a call, 860-288-9977. We will set up some time on the calendar for just you and Glenn to connect on the phone to start you out. So go ahead, let's snag you a spot while we've got them, 860-288-9977 or online at jabezfinancial.com. That's Jabez, Jabez. You just click on the contact tab, fill out your information, and we'll be happy to reach out to you and get connected that way. All right, Glenn, brace yourself. I've got kind of a startling statistic that I wanted to share with you. Statistics show that only about 25% of Americans use a financial advisor. And when it comes to seeking financial advice, most people start out with their friends and family. But a new survey I saw this week by TIAA found only 40% are happy with the advice that they're receiving from those friends and family. So wanted to get your thoughts on this here, Glenn. What do you think people struggle with when it comes to that decision to use a financial advisor like yourself?
Well, isn't it interesting to start with the fact that only 25% of people use a financial advisor? Right. Why isn't it 100%? I mean, isn't it true we could all be doing better? And we're not going to do better until we learn something new, believe it, and apply it. So there's always progress to be made. But why so few? Well, a lot of times people, maybe they won't call a financial advisor because they just don't think they have enough money for them to be worth their financial advisor's time. And that happens all the time, especially when you see there's a whole bunch of financial advisors out there that say, well, look, unless you've got $500,000 to $1 million, we're not having a conversation. Well, you know what? I don't want to put a price tag on it. I want to be able to help people, whether it be with Jabez Financial or even through my nonprofit organization, because I want to see the people in my community win. So let's just scratch that idea off the table and say, maybe I don't have enough, but if there's information to learn, you can grow. Then there's the people that they've just done a really good job managing their own money for a very long time. And I see it all the time, whether they're a bunch of engineers or people that have that same way of thinking, that they've done their own analysis, they've done their own investing, they've taken the calculated risk, and they did really, really well. But the point is there's always a new perspective. And the people that manage their own money, I'll tell you, I love talking with them because we can get into a great dialogue on things. We can both gain from that. But then I found a lot of times people have had a financial advisor at one point in life, and it didn't end well. They ended up, when the market dipped or they were losing more money than they felt good about. They ended up calling their financial advisor, being upset, saying, what's going on here? And then that motivated their advisor to say, oh, whoops. Okay. Well, I tell you what, we'll put you in this more conservative account over here. And they ended up recognizing that they were the ones advising their advisor. So what's the point?
Forever after that.
Right. Yeah. And then if they try to make a decision to say, you know what, I'm going to move something over here now, I'll tell you, I've seen it way too frequently that their existing advisors will badger them into staying put. They'll actually bully them into staying in accounts that are no longer appropriate. In that sense, so if things are going to improve, we have to have the courage to open ourselves up again to get some new information in order to see some real progress.
So what you're saying about people who, maybe got turned off from their financial advisor in the industry in general because they had that bad experience one time. So that makes me think that trust is really the foundation here. Would you say that that's the foundation when it comes to finding the right financial advisor to work with for your retirement plan?
Absolutely. It's such a major component of it. And we've all gotten advice from people who love us. We've gotten good advice. We've gotten bad advice. We've got all kinds of different advice, but how do we discern who's to take? And trust has to be the underlying component of that. And how do we learn to trust when we've had so many decades of experience, not just working with financial advisors, but just with people in general. We've lived enough life where we've been betrayed, we've been sabotaged, we've been ridiculed, talked behind, we've been stabbed in the back. We've had all of these really hurtful experiences in life. And then that brings us to a point where, you know what? I don't trust anybody anymore. And that's very isolating. And it puts us in a position where now the only person we'll listen to is ourselves. I mean, shoot, that's biblical. Only a fool counsels himself. But how do we break through those past experiences of being let down and having our trust being broken? Well, we've got to look at, what is trust? What are the components of trust? And there's two primary components, and that's being, one, trustworthy. And that's an inside job. It's my job to be trustworthy. So as individuals, we have a responsibility to continue to work on our own character and become honorable people with integrity. So it's my job to be trustworthy. But the other part is being trusting. How do we become more trusting after being betrayed all these many times over the years?
Scary thought.
Right. And we do that by learning how to recognize behavior patterns in other people. And it works whether things are going well or going poorly. For example, if somebody you have a good relationship with, they've been trustworthy, you've been friends for years, and then all of a sudden they royally screw up and they break your trust. We've had that happen, right? Well, now the responsibility is on us to trust them again. It's their job to become more trustworthy. It's our job to be more trusting. And now what we have to do, we've been burdened with the task of being able to identify their behavior patterns to the point where we can identify, was this just a fluke, or is this exposing their underlying character? But when we take the time to identify somebody's behavior pattern, then we can trust. And even in the opposite direction, if somebody's a total dirtbag and they're mean to you all the time, and then all of a sudden one day they're super nice, well, that kind of breaks your trust too, right? It's the change in behavior patterns. And so and I recognize when relationships are new, if somebody doesn't trust me initially, I'm not offended. I'm totally okay with that. Right. Shoot, people didn't trust Jesus and he was perfect. So why would I be offended if someone doesn't trust me?
Right.
I just know it's got to be a matter of time. So let my consistency prove itself so that in time, when what we say and what we do align, we're able to become more trusting. And that opens up the door for us to take in new information, get better advice, make better decisions, and not just the things improve financially, but life gets better in general. And we're no longer isolated, and we've got resources and people, and we can learn to trust a whole lot more.
So if somebody's ready to take that leap of faith, they're ready to give someone a chance again and maybe trust again, what do they do? What does that look like in practice? What's the next step to get there?
Well, it's a matter of looking at some consistency. And this is where one thing we could do is I'd invite you to going on our website and see what we have to say about ourselves. Then you could take a look at our Google reviews and see what other people are saying. And then when you give us a call and we have a 10, 15-minute conversation on the phone, you can feel the heartbeat that we have here. And then when we get together, should we get together and have a face-to-face conversation, you'll begin to see consistency in what you read, what you hear, what you see, what you experience. And as time goes on, we can say, well, you know what? This is somebody I can see myself having a long-term relationship with that's going to speak into my life, give me wise financial advice, and we're able to grow together. So look for consistency and look for what they say and what they do align. There's the beginning of a solid foundation.
I think there's this element of risk, though, and awkwardness of reaching out to somebody new and having a phone call for the first time. I mean, how many times do we avoid making that doctor's appointment or calling up the dentist that we're way overdue for just because we don't want to make that call? I mean, I'm guilty of it 100%. It's embarrassing. I know I shouldn't be, but Let me ask you this, Glenn, before we go today, what advice do you have for somebody who is hesitant to make that first call? How can they start the conversation without feeling overwhelmed?
Well, we could start with this. By giving a call, you can just call and say, you know what? Hi, introduce yourself. I'm John. I heard the radio show, and I just figured I'd give a call to say hello. That's it. And we can take it from there. A lot of times, you don't have to feel like you need to divulge all this personal information when you make a first call. I would just invite you to say, hey, I heard the radio show. Sounded great. You must be a really handsome guy.
That's the key. That's the secret code. We will know you're really listening if you give us that one.
That's right. Yeah. Oh gosh. But just call just and say, you know what? I heard the show. Just call to say hi. And that's good enough. And we'll start from there.
It all starts with a phone call. We don't want you to be shy. We don't want you to be scared. Glenn and the team are incredibly easy to talk to. And more than anything, they just want to see how they can help. So your complimentary retirement projection, it all starts with this initial 15-minute phone conversation with just you and Glenn talking on the phone. You can explain to him what questions you have, and then he can share with you information about how he and the team may be able to help. So let's put that time on the calendar for that initial 15-minute phone call with Glenn. It's no fee. It's no obligation. This is just an initial conversation with somebody who knows his retirement landscape locally. Glenn's here in Connecticut. He's ready to share with you some information and get some ideas on how he and his team can best help you move forward. So again, that number, it's 860-288-9977. If you are 5 to 10 years from retirement, this is where you're really going to feel the benefits of this kind of planning that Glenn and his team do really take effect for you. So let's start that conversation with Glenn. 860-288-9977 is that number to dial right now. We've got our Jabez teammates standing by off the air, ready to answer your call and help you put that time on the calendar. Or you can also go to jabezfinancial.com. You'll just click on the media or the contact us tab to begin that way with us as well. Or just call us right now. Let's put that time on the calendar. 860-288-9977. 860-288-9977. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manument Podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts so that you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Glenn Johnson, Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.